Students are getting good grades, but their standardized test scores tell a different story. What's going on at the Gompers Charter School? Veteran prosecutor Summer Stephan has been endorsed by outgoing DA Bonnie DeMonis, but her involvement in a botched murder case has some wondering why. And cities across the county are dividing into districts, but not because they want to. I'm Mark Sauer. The KPBS Roundtable starts now. Welcome to our discussion of the week's top stories. I'm Mark Sauer, and joining me at the KPBS Roundtable today, reporter Brad Racino of iNewsSource. Hi, Brad.
Hey, Mark.
Good to have you back again. John Wilkins, reporter with the San Diego Union Tribune. Hi, John.
Hello, Mark.
Glad you're here today. And KPBS North County reporter Allison St. John. Hi, Allison.
Good to be here, Mark.
We're glad you're here. Well, a dozen years ago, Gompers was a middle school nearing takeover by the state. It sits in a southeast San Diego neighborhood plagued by gang activity, drug sales, and other crime. Now a charter high school, Gompers Performance Academy boasts a spotless campus, polite, well-behaved, and well-groomed students. Its director was nationally recognized for his enthusiasm and devotion to his students and his school. Yet behind the sunny stories and appearances are accusations of grade inflation masking broad underperformance by students. Brad, start there with the telling testing statistics and how Gompers students compare with peers at other schools.
Right. So we ran some numbers going back 5 years from 2011 to the most recent statistics of 2015-2016 school year. And what it showed was that the Gompers students have consistently performed at the bottom of the district, the county, and among the bottom of schools in the entire state of California. 5% of students met the threshold for college ready on their ACT scores, 6% on their SATs, and some more telling statistics. I think last year, in that same year, 91% of students of 11th graders didn't meet the threshold in math, and about 40% were below the standard for English. So it's pretty bad.
And yet their grades at the school tell a different story, which we'll get into in a second. I did want to make clear, you really just focused this story on the Gompers, no other charter school.
Correct. So we've gotten some criticism about this over the last couple of days, and I want to make it very clear that this story is just about Gompers. It's not about charter schools in general. It's not about public education in general. This is about one school. All
right. Now, do educators and scholars who look at this, do they consider standardized test scores a better measure than grades at a particular school?
I actually had one teacher tell me the other day, she put it really well, that all teachers grade when it comes to A's and B's differently. That kind of varies, but the one metric that they can have consistent is standardized test scores. Whether they like them or not, it's the one thing across all avenues that they can actually look at as that's a measure.
The apples to apples gauge.
I know some teachers have said that standardized test scores are testing different things. You know, they're more mechanized in a way. They're not so creative, and that maybe other kinds of tests would actually show students having quite a lot of intelligence that doesn't show up in a standardized test score. I don't know, is that one of the arguments you're being given?
Not really. I mean, there's a lot of test scores. So the state has, SATs, ACTs, it has APs, it has, they used to be called the STAR test, now they're called the Standard Better Assessment test. So across every test, these numbers are true. The only other thing that you would really look at would be actual grades at the school, which we also looked at.
Now, you interviewed several Gompers teachers, some former students. How did the teachers report that pressure was there to inflate these grades? That's at the heart of the story.
Right. Yeah, most teachers told us that they were never told directly to change student grades. Actually a couple the other day did tell me that they were told point blank, change this grade or else we'll change it in the front office for you. Most teachers said that they were pressured to change these grades by being told that they were murdering children if they had, below a C, that they were taking these children's lives into their hands, and how dare they.
Because the consequences of a failing grade and all would be
because if they don't graduate high school, if they don't get into college, they're going to end up, the argument was they're going to end up back on the street, they're going to end up in a gang.
Okay, we do have a bite I wanted to set up. This is Donnie Powers, a former Gompers teacher, on that pressure.
That was a constant pressure there. Initially, it was that students shouldn't fail. The teacher is failing, not the students. And it went from that all students should pass to all students should be getting A's.
All right, I did want to point out, though, at least one longtime teacher you interviewed said she hadn't experienced this pressure. What did she have to say?
Yeah, she said, and this kind of rings true with every teacher who was there, who I talked to, who left before 2009 when it became a high school. This pressure wasn't there as much. She said that she had pressure in other ways and that these teachers were expected to put in 16-hour days, that they were expected to put out their cell phone numbers to kids, that they were expected to be there on the weekends. So the expectations were extremely high for the teachers.
On the teachers,
yes.
Staff, yeah. So Gompers has had a relationship with UCSD, University of California here, of course, and accepts students on a scholarship, a high number of Gompers graduates on scholarship. Explain how that relationship works.
Yeah, so UCSD originally opened the Preuss School up in La Jolla, and the idea of Gompers was to replicate the Preuss School down here south of the 8. So what they did was they've opened up these scholarships called Chancellor's Associates scholarships, and they're full rides to UCSD, and every year they've been giving more and more to Gompers, not just Gompers students. There's a few, I think there's 5 or 6 schools where they take place in this program, but I think it was last year those numbers were really high. I mean, like almost half the graduating class got a full ride to UCSD.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
John?
The story was interesting in terms of how some of those students are doing. Actually had some interesting numbers about how they compare to their peers in terms of how many of them are still enrolled.
Yeah.
Right. And what did a few of them say that you'd interviewed in terms of how they're getting along in college after getting out of Gompers?
They've said that they're struggling, that their friends that they went there with are gone. That I should point out, that should be somewhat expected. I mean, these are kids that are from underperforming communities that data show that them and their cohorts usually do worse in college. But this is just a number of them that are saying that the same thing. I was not prepared, even though this is a college preparatory academy. That's what distinguishes Gompers.
Is there some pressure
Allison?
on Gompers to keep the numbers up? Like, is there funding dependent on it, or is it all about their reputation?
Well, that's the thing, is the board of directors at Gompers, 2 of them have a lot at stake, and one of them is a former UCSD professor who was involved with the Preuss School, was involved with the opening. So there is a lot of reputation at stake. There's a lot of money at stake. I think we ran the numbers since 2005. Gompers has had more than $74 million through government grants and philanthropists, and they've received this national acclaim that they're a turnaround school, they're doing so well, and other schools are modeling their schools on what Gompers has done. So there is a lot at stake.
Now, what did the folks at Gompers, the leadership there, have to say in reaction to this when you asked them about this?
We sat down last week with Bud Meehan and Cecil Stepp, who are the vice chairman and chairman of the board at Gompers. We had a 2-hour interview, and we laid out all of our data. We laid out the fact that at that point we had 11 teachers on the record, or on background, most on the record, who had confirmed everything. And they said they didn't care, that the data, they don't believe it, and that they don't believe the teachers, and that every single one of them was disgruntled. They never asked the names of the teachers. They just blanketly assumed that they were all disgruntled. And then the other day we went to a board meeting, and I spoke with Bud again, and he brought up the same thing, and I said, would it make a difference if I told you that in the last 24 hours 14 more teachers and students have come forward? And he said, no, I don't care.
Well, let's just get a context. I mean, 14, is that compared to hundreds, or is that, how big a percentage of the teachers is that?
I think there's about, this year I want to say there's between 40 and 50 teachers. The turnover at that school has been so high with teachers that, as Bud told me, there's probably hundreds that have been there over the last 12 years. But we've only had 1 or 2 teachers who have come forward and said, you know, you're wrong, that is not the case, when 98 or 95% of the rest have confirmed what has been in our report.
Have the teachers you talked to had some suggestions about what they would like to see changed there?
Yeah, well, the main suggestion is that Gompers is doing a lot right, and I want to make that point clear too, that this is a multifaceted story. It's not just black and white. That Gompers has done a lot of good for that community, for those kids, but their suggestion is that they should focus less on the showmanship at that school, where these kids are failing kids are taken out of classes that they need to be in to learn how to sing and dance for the graduation, or for when a visitor comes, they need to be taken out of class to talk to them. And there's the first month or 6 weeks of school is focused on culture, and the last month is focused on graduation. That's a lot of time to take out of these kids' schedules just to focus on something that's a show, that is not academic.
Few seconds left on this segment. The investigation has come to the attention of an accrediting association. How might that play into this?
Yeah, the Western Association of Schools and Colleges is tasked with accrediting charter schools in, I believe, all of California, but they have told us that they have, as soon as the story published, they reached out to Gompers and they've started the process of looking into these accusations. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens in follow-ups as we go forward.
Well, it's hard to imagine anything more horrible than finding your daughter stabbed to death on her bedroom floor. But things got much worse for the Crowe family of Escondido. Their son Michael, age 14, was falsely charged with the murder. And the prosecutor pushing that case toward trial now has the powerful backing of District Attorney Bonnie DeMonis to replace her as San Diego's top law enforcement official. The irony here is that DeMonis used the Crowe case and direct support from Cheryl and Steve Crowe to win election as district attorney over incumbent Paul Pfingst in 2002. John, it's hard to find a case with more tangles here and twists as we've seen. We've covered this for a long time, you and I. Start with the two 9/11 calls to Escondido police the night Stephanie was slain.
So Richard Tuitt was a homeless man living in Escondido, pretty well known to the police at the time. He was seen in that neighborhood that night visiting just about every house, knocking on doors, peering into windows. He was on a mission to find a woman named Tracy, who he knew. And a couple of the neighbors were alarmed enough to call 911. Police rolled up actually to the Crowe house that night. Shortly before 10 o'clock, an officer saw a door closing, didn't get out of his car, left. We're left to wonder if that who that may have been.
Mm-hmm. And that officer had already talked to the neighbor of the Crowes who had reported his encounter with Richard Tuitt. And then, they didn't focus on Richard Tuitt here when they found Stephanie's body the next day. Why did they turn away from this
well, they made a judgment very early on that it had to be an inside case. So they were focused on people who were in the house at the time. They also very quickly dismissed Richard Tuitt as being too addled by drug abuse and mental illness to have been able to go into the house, stab Stephanie, and then get out without waking anybody else. There were 5 other people asleep in the house.
Mm-hmm. So a bungler, and they knew him, and they didn't think he was capable of this crime. So Michael Crowe was interrogated for many hours. Eventually, he made some incriminating statements. Escondido police then went after 2 of his friends and got a quote confession from one of them. A judge, as they head up to this long marathon run toward trial, they threw most of the teen statements out. They did preserve some of them, a key statement from one of them, kind of overlooking how this crime was to have been committed. And then came a bombshell. What blew this case up against Michael Crowe and his friends?
So they're right on they're beginning the trial against Joshua Treadway, one of the teens who was charged in the case. In fact, they're in jury selection for that. And a call comes from a forensic lab in the Bay Area reporting that Stephanie Crowe's blood has been found on a red sweatshirt that Richard Tuitt was seen wearing in the neighborhood that night.
Mm-hmm. And so that just blows that case up. And long story about what happened in the years follow, and we'll wrap that up before this segment's over. But let's flash forward ahead. Bonnie DeMonis' ambition to become district attorney. Paul Pfingst was the DA at the time of the Crowe case here. Obviously a hugely visible trial and case in this, and it was a bungle case as we've noted. So how did DeMonis criticize the incumbent DA, Paul Pfingst?
Well, it was a central part of her campaign. She accused the DA's office of rush to judgment. She said the DA's office had failed to investigate all of the suspects before charging the 3 teens. She was in particular critical of the failure of the investigators to send out Richard Tuitt's clothing for testing. Testing was actually pursued by Joshua Treadway's defense attorney. The DA did join in on that once that motion was made. But so she basically said that they really had failed in their role as a check and balance against the police department.
Very close election, and the Crowes actually did an TV ad for her. And
it was an extremely close race, and a few weeks before that election, Steve and Cheryl, who were the parents, did a commercial criticizing Paul Pfingst's role and saying and endorsing Bonnie DeMonis for district attorney. And a lot of political observers think that ad helped push her over the top at the end.
And of course, the prosecutor on that case, the deputy district attorney working for Mr. Pfingst at the time, was Summer Stephan. And now we flash forward to Bonnie DeMonis is stepping down as DA, and she is backing, ironically enough, 14 years later, the Crowe prosecutor, Summer Stephan. Now, you interviewed Cheryl Crowe this week about news of that. How does she react to that?
Cheryl Crowe is not happy. She's very, still very stung by everything that happened, as Steve is. And so when she learned about this, she was very upset. She considers it a insult to her daughter. She considers that now, in hindsight, she believes Bonnie DeMonis was just using her daughter as a campaign prop.
But the thing is, doesn't
Allison?
Summer Stephan say that the decision really to blame the brothers was made before she came on the case?
That's true.
And that she was just following the department's policy, in a sense, on this
orders.
case. Right. That's her argument.
Summer Stephan was the second prosecutor on the case. She joined it about 5 months into the case. By then, the 3 teens had already been charged. The grand jury had already reviewed the case and indicted the 3 teens. Summer Stephan did take it over for the 707 hearing to decide whether the teens should be tried as adults, at the time the longest hearing of its kind in California history. So it was not just a perfunctory role that she played in that hearing. She had a lot of work to do on it. She also was a key participant in the hearing that Mark referenced earlier to decide whether the confessions could be used at trial.
And the Crowe's chief complaint against Summer Stephan in those long months and those various hearings you're describing here, it was comments she made publicly about their son, right?
Some of it was public comments. There was also this feeling that she was, and some of the defense attorneys felt the same, that Summer Stephan was kind of overreaching to try and find evidence that would name the teens. They were critical of the fact that at these other hearings that we mentioned just a second ago, both those hearings ended with judges raising really, really serious concerns about the prosecution's case. One of the judges after a hearing said if this were a court trial, these boys would be not guilty. And so every time that happened, the Crowes and their supporters believed that the DA would maybe take a step back, maybe say, we should maybe evaluate this a little bit more.
Take another look at this police
investigation.
investigation.
Look at this, see whether this makes sense or not. And so their feeling was...
Again, this was all before the blood evidence came.
Yeah, and their feeling was that instead of sort of doing that and maybe again doing the check and balance thing that Bonnie Dumanis had criticized Finks for, that they continued to charge ahead with the case. So that would be some of the criticisms.
Allison?
But if, in fact, Summer Stephan was kind of just following along the department's take on this case, and I believe she actually didn't expect to be on it as long as she was, and this suggests that she is, as you say, like a team player, which in fact plays into this idea that she's being picked now by Dumanis to be her successor, because she is a team player, someone who has really committed herself to the department and perhaps possibly even at the expense of her own perception of events may have fought
Well, I
that
think
case.
it's important to remember that the Stephanie Crowe murder happened almost 20 years ago. Summer Stephan had been in office about 8 years when it happened. We're now 19 years down the road. She's now a 27-year veteran of the office. When you talk to Bonnie Dumanis, she says a lot of things have happened since that case that leads her to believe that Summer Stephan would be a very, very good DA, good administrator. Summer Stephan also was involved in probably the one people would remember recently, the shooting at the Carlsbad Elementary School. She was a prosecutor in that case.
I know I've been seeing emails, for months now from different people endorsing Summer Stephan for this position, even before most of us have woken up to the fact that this will be on the election next year.
She got a couple of endorsements from prosecutors and investigators, I think, before she'd even declared that she was going to run. But I want to get back to one of the points you made about her as just someone who inherited the case and therefore didn't have any responsibility for it. If you talk to veteran prosecutors in town, the idea that just because you came to a case late somehow absolves you of any responsibility for being a check and balance on it, they have a problem with that idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now also Summer Stephan, just real quick, I want to get this in too.
Sure.
Summer Stephan will tell you that once the blood came back on the To It sweatshirt, that she was a strong advocate in the DA's office for dismissing the charges against the teens.
And they were dismissed, and of course, eventually, just to come back around, the state attorney general's office prosecuted successfully Richard Tootie. He was convicted of involuntary manslaughter, did a long stretch in prison. That was thrown out on a technical charge or issue on appeal. He was retried in a very much shorter trial than the original one, and actually was acquitted. In the meantime, the Crowe family got more than $9 million, your story showed,
Yes.
from Escondido and Oceanside police involved in this case. And Michael Crowe got a very rare true bill of innocence from a judge who was asked to look at all the evidence in the case.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see, and we've run out of time on this segment, but we'll have to see going forward what impact this has in the supervisor's appointment of the interim DA, and then if it is Summer Stephan, what happens in the campaign?
I mean, I
next
got to
year?
say that maybe she is a good candidate, but there are many people questioning whether there is just such a conspiracy almost to get her in before anyone's woken up to the alternatives, that she may find that is something that counts against her in the election.
Well, we'll see that going forward. Well, voters in the city of San Diego have gotten used to choosing their city council members by district, but that's not been the case in other places across the county where candidates must compete citywide. Now that system is rapidly changing. Allison, why are cities moving toward district elections, and many of them quite reluctantly?
Quite reluctantly, yes. Well, because it turns out that that is in the California Voting Rights Act, which was passed, came into effect 2001, 2002. So it's been in effect for about 10 years, but only recently has the legal profession and people who are interested in getting more minority representation on city councils, only recently has it started to take off, and it's really spreading like wildfire around the state, and now it's just arrived in San Diego County. 5 North County cities in the last few years have now gone to district elections because it turns out it's almost impossible to fight this move in court. The law, the way that it's worded, makes it the burden of proof is much easier than the federal Voting Rights Act to prove that racial minorities are not getting a look in when it comes to elections. You only have to prove that racially polarized voting is occurring in order to say we got to go to district elections because minorities are not getting their representatives on the city councils. So Three of the 5 cities in North County were all sued or threatened to be sued by the same attorney, Kevin Schenkman. And it looks like it's very difficult to win those cases.
So some cities have gone through and gotten into court with them, and they don't ever win, right?
Well, Palmdale and Modesto paid millions of dollars, more than $4 million in legal fees, which, for a small city is really out of the question. It feels like, if you get one of these letters and you look back at the precedent that has already been set in the courts, Escondido in 2012, I remember Mayor Abed saying, no, we're going to fight this. We're not going to give in to this. And they did for a few months. And they spent $200,000 or $300,000, and then they realized, you know what? We ain't going to win this one, so they capitulated.
We've got a bite out of Oceanside. Jerry Kern, the city councilman up there, explaining the logic that you were just outlining and summarizing. Let's hear
last
that.
Month.
I don't see a win in it for us. I understand what you guys want, and I've been with you all the time. But at the bottom line is, I have to protect the assets of the city. So I'm going to support this, even though I don't want to.
So he doesn't want to, and a lot of folks don't want to.
And the vote was 3-2. Same thing in Carlsbad the following, a couple of weeks later, because I think the city councils know that they can't afford to fight this legally. And so a couple of representatives have sort of said, we need to take a stand on this. The mayor of Oceanside and Carlsbad both said no. But the majority said, yes, we got to do this. We can't afford to be spending millions on fighting a case that we're pretty much bound to lose. And of course, some people support it and say this is actually a very positive move. This is actually something which will change the way that our representation on city councils occurs and gives minorities a much better chance of fielding candidates that can afford to actually get into office.
Now, has that been the empirical evidence? Has that been the experience of cities that have gone to district
Well, Kevin Schenkman, who, by the way, is obviously a very rich man now.
He's a Malibu attorney, right? But he's sued cities all over Southern California.
He's onto a good thing here. He's not a big corporation. You call his phone number from the website and he picks right up, So he's just an attorney who's found a good case that he can pretty much certainly decide, win in every situation. It's something that he has said he's going to pursue, and I actually just called Encinitas to find out whether they got a letter, because he has said this is something I'm going to pursue with other cities in San Diego County. They said no, not yet.
Now, the folks who are adamant and don't want to go to district elections, what's the basis of their argument?
Well, I think there's good arguments on both sides. The people who were against it, Mayor Abed and Escondido was very incensed about it and said that it was going to lead to sort of like tribal wars. You can look at it as either leading to more neighborhood representation, but the fact is that if your representative is in one neighborhood and then your 5 city council members are each representing 5 different neighborhoods, it could be that you're going to have more turf wars in cities instead of having everybody, voting for the city as a whole. But at the same time, other people say, no, this is fabulous. This is what we've been wanting. This is more neighborhood-based legislation. This means that people who couldn't afford to run a campaign and spread their ads all over the city can now run and get in and represent the interests of the neighborhoods.
John?
Aren't there some cities that have significant minority populations but never had anybody get on the city council until they changed to district-only elections?
Yes, Kevin Schenkman said that was the case in, I think it was San Juan. But in San Diego, Escondido already had a Latina on the city council, and of course the mayor himself, Mayor Abed, is a minority. So he's saying, what's wrong with Escondido? And in Vista too, they have had a couple of Latino people. In Oceanside, there's been Rocky Chavez, who's Latino. So they've all had a few Latinos. So that's their argument is, look, we've got our, I don't think you can say token, but we have our Latino on the city council. But when you look at the way that minorities are increasing in our population now, I mean, it is really an exponential increase. I think it is difficult for minority communities to raise the funding to get representatives on city council. And I think this is a very interesting sort of development at the grassroots level.
Well, we'll have to see how that plays out. I know you'll be reporting on this, and we'll see how many of these folks have these district elections by the time we roll around to next year. 2018 election year coming up sooner than we think. Well, that does wrap up another week of stories at the KPBS Roundtable. I'd like to thank my guests, Brad Racino of iNewsSource, John Wilkins of the San Diego Union Tribune, and Allison St. John of KPBS News. A reminder, all the stories we discussed today are available on our website, kpbs.org. I'm Mark Sauer. Thanks for joining us today on the Roundtable.